Hey Algebra 1, here we are on the 9.2 video notes for multiplying polynomials. I'm going to give you a moment to go ahead and read through the essential question and the vocabulary terms. Select continue when you are done. Alright, so this note here says to multiply monomials together, you can use the commutative property to move the coefficients near the other coefficients, and the like variable parts near the like variable parts. So for example, we started with negative 3x squared, y squared was my first monomial, times 4x times y to the fourth was my second monomial. And you can see we moved the coefficients together, the x bases together, and the y bases together, and then put it all together. This is going to look really familiar to and very similar to what we did in Unit 8. So I'm going to kind of fly through this because we just did this in Unit 8. We actually aren't going to go as into depth as we did in Unit 8. Things will be a little bit simpler here. Alright, so example 1 says to simplify by multiplying the monomials. So for our first example here, we've got 4, and you can see I did it once, but I didn't like it, so I started this video over. So I've got the 4, but I don't have any other coefficients, so it's just going to stay 4. I'm not going to multiply it to anything. And then we've got the t to the fourth, t to the third, so the count, I am multiplying 7 t's together. So done, just like we did in the last set of notes. I'm actually going to have you guys cross out b. That is beyond the scope because that's a fifth power, and we don't want to go there. We did that last unit. We don't need to do that this unit. So let's take a look at C. For C, let's talk about our numbers. Okay, so notice I'm not actually rearranging it like we did in the example here. I'm doing it mostly in my head. So 10 times 5, the numbers would be 50. Okay, I've got an M and an M. So don't forget there's a 1 and a 1 there. So this is going to be M to the fourth, and then N to the, N to the fourth, N to the first, so N to the fifth. And that is my final answer there. So how about I give you a moment? I want you guys to try D on your own, and I'm going to send that as a question. If you got it correct, you should have 18. There's no, because that's the 6 times the 3. There's no other x's, so it's just x squared. There's the y to the fourth, y to the third, so y to the seventh. And then we've got just the z. There's no other z. All right, so it should have had 18 y squared, or x squared, y to the seventh, z to the second. All right, or squared as well. All right, so whenever it asks for using a calculator for an exact answer, I'm going to show you guys a common error I see a lot whenever we have numerical bases. I see a lot of students doing 6 times 6 is 36 and then to the 6. We don't do that. The base stays the same and we just add the exponent. So this is 6 to the 6, and then I'd use my calculator to multiply that 6 of them, and I get 46,656. So be really careful. Don't make that a 36. That's a common error. All right, F is a little bit of a challenge, so let's take a look at that one together. So don't forget that there's a 1 above that R. So the question becomes, what do I do with this R to the X? Well, if I follow my rules, it's still R to the first, R to the second, so that's 1 plus 2 is R cubed. And then I've got this R to the X. So if I added the 1 plus the 2 here, why can't I add the 3 to the x? And it's addition, so it's actually going to look like this, r to the x plus 3. So that was a little bit of a trick question, kind of extending you, pushing you a little bit further than what we did in the last set of notes, or the last unit. All right, for the next one, what we're going to do is just distribution. Okay. So I've got another one. So just like we would distribute a number, I'm distributing a variable, a monomial, to a binomial, or on this last one to a trinomial. Alright, so it's the same thing, and you can see you can break them up like I did there, or we can just simply distribute, which I think is a little bit easier. So let me show you what I mean. 9x times 2x, so think about it. 9 times 2 is 18, and x times x is x squared. And then distribute to here. 9 times 5 is 45. There's nothing to multiply the x to. So it's 18x squared plus 45x is our final answer. Right. I'm going to skip to C and show you this one, and then I'm going to have you guys do B on your own. So for C, all right, once again, I'm going to distribute that negative 6a. Now just watch out because you've got a negative there. So negative 6 doesn't multiply to anything. So I'm just multiplying, let me put my finger there, just those two. So don't even worry about this other part. So I get negative 6a cubed, because remember there's a 1 there even though you don't see it. So 1 plus 2 gave me cubed. Okay. So now I'm going to do negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36. A times a is a squared, because it's 1 plus 1 is 2. Right. So it's just distribution, but now we're adding in some extra variables. Oops, that moved on me. All right, I want you guys to try B on your own and let me know what answer you get. All right, hopefully if you did this correctly, you should have gotten 12. 4 times 3, x cubed times x is x to the 4th. So 12x to the 4th minus 28x cubed. And that's our final answer. All right, I think I'm going to say D for in class, because I don't want my video to go any longer than this. So I will see you guys back at one more video and then back in math class.